we have ZertoN and Creator. Now, Creator, what do we know about this man?
We know that he's from Japan, and we know that he's been getting good overall. Like, he has been climbing. He's been climbing the ladder. I think he's reached, like, top 30 in the last season, even. ZertoN, of course, like a really prominent player as well, has just been making his comeback somewhat to the scene as well after a longer absence. And yeah, now he's pretty much back and kicking at his old performance, almost, I want to say. Like, he started late in the last season to like come back, and when I last checked, he already had like 200 games in the last season. So I think at this point, he most certainly has caught up again.
Oh, well, I am excited to see that because he's going for Rus, which I'm actually a little bit surprised to see Rus still being such a contested pick in all of these events, because we saw that Rus got a pretty big hit recently. Now, a lot of pro players seem to say that doesn't matter, Rus is still Rus, but how does that playstyle now change? Because we see that it was a top pick for Creator and a top ban towards ZertoN as well.
Yeah, so basically nowadays you can't just go for the classic good old fast castle agent to only cavalry archer spam. That one just doesn't really work. They don't quite pack that punch that they used to. They do have faster attack speed now, but their kiting potential has been drastically reduced. So especially units that have always been somewhat meant to counter the cavalry archers that didn't really count them in the past, i.e. Just knights and horsemen in general, now should do a much better job against them. So it's not like, oh, if you mass cav archers at a certain point, they just beat everything. Nowadays, like, there's actually a more reasonable counter. Cavalry archer's role kind of feels more like now it's a backline for like long fights rather than a backline and frontline, and maybe also more of a just a overall raiding unit.
Okay. I can see how that would definitely affect some players, especially with the playstyles. At this rank, I think we have an idea of how players play, and they're not someone like Marine Lord necessarily who can play aggressive, play defensive, or raid, not raid. You know, a lot of these players, their weaknesses and strengths are known. So I can imagine like a change that's small would definitely affect a lot more than we would usually see at the top level. So I'm excited to see, just from the qualifiers, how this will differ from the main event next week too. But in our first match, we actually have Japan versus French. And I'm really happy to see some of these older civilizations still making its way. And I've seen it yesterday as well. A lot of our old civs are still prio picks, and the new civilizations are not shining as much as Reddit would make it out that they would be. So, Japan versus French. How do we feel about this matchup in the current meta?
This is kind of a classic one in general. Japan versus French, both civilizations definitely keen on getting like to high knight counts. Now Japan, of course, they have to reach the castle age first for that, but once they do, those mounted samurai with their deflective armor, they always have like that one leg up against any other knight civilization, because when the charge comes in from the opponent knights, that just gets completely nulled out by the deflective armor. So typically, while Japan for the early part is going to have way fewer or no knights at all, once they do get to knights, they will have the stronger knight available to them compared to the French.
French is just such a good civ at keeping you in feudal though. And I think that's exactly what Japan does not want to be dealing with. So I don't think Creator is going to be sitting back and letting ZertoN go that samurai way of life that he would like. Now, what I've liked about Japan is a lot of the times Japan do a little bit of a Dark Age aggression to try and force their opponent to have to respond, and not getting that momentum going that we see from French to stop them from going for a fast castle. So very often Japan opens with a barracks, they're able to do a little bit of an attack, forcing the French to respond not in the way that they want, wasting a little bit of resources, stopping that momentum, and ensuring that Japan gets that little bit of breathing room to go for castle quickly. Is that still something that would be prevalent in this matchup with the current changes?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, those things haven't really been changed at all for Japan. We will most likely still see some Dark Age aggression into maybe like a double outpost play next to the gold veins, just to secure, well, not have to invest that much into military. And yeah, after that, they'll most likely just like try and rush for that faster castle age. I think French, typically in this matchup, like there's a little bit of a bait sometimes where players go into pro scouts, but instead I think it's much better to just go out on the map, because realistically, Japan isn't really going to harass you at all in the first place, and you're much better off just investing into immediate aggression up against them, because you will want to punish them for that fast castle age playstyle.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I think when we think back about French and their early play styles, French was the civilization that was out on the deer so fast. It was something that they needed to, and I think we're finally moving back towards that because of the pro scouts. Nerf, of course. The close deer packs still give you your value, but when you start going out, it does hurt. But guys, we are ready to roll. Few seconds. Let's see what ZertoN and Creator will bring us on Gorge today.
All right, jumping into our game number 1. There we go. Dark Age Barracks coming out immediately. We got ZertoN, our German player here, playing as the Japanese in the color yellow, and our Japanese player playing as the French in the color red. We got Creator.
Now, with that Dark Age aggression, we'll see exactly what Creator decides to go with. Because now, just like Rackety mentioned, very often this will result in a tower drop that you need to do. Because, of course, you can't just let your opponent get his spearman on top of you. But right now, I'm not seeing anyone on wood. And that is worrying me a little bit. Does he know that this is happening? This is such a normal opening in this matchup. This is something he needs to expect right now. But no response from this yet. And we see just a standard 8-2, what we usually see with the age-ups. So I'm a little worried here for Creator as the first spearman is about to land.
Yeah, worst case, Creator is going to have to pull a couple additional villagers over to the gold in order to be able to afford that age up. But yeah, typically in these situations, you just kind of like just not react to this immediately. You first just try and get to the feudal age, and just a single spearman, or rather the first couple of spearmen, they're going to trickle in. So Creator should have enough of a timing here to be able to gather enough resources for the age up. Has to be careful though, doesn't want to lose any of those villagers. Female villager is going to be able to make her way out of that one. Yeah, Creator should be able to just get enough gold, and yeah, is going to be able to pull back now. And just like that, is going to have enough resources for the age up.
Now, enough for the age up is fine, but you now have some low HP villages as well. And of course, Japan is not the civ that has knights pouring into your base too early, but it's a civilization that will eventually do that. And those very low HP villages will break in half when the time comes. But with this, we can now see that he's aging up, usually with the School of Cavalry. Perfectly normal here, but he's not going to be able to make any knights from here on out. So now the question is, what does he react with? Do we just get a barracks? Do we get a nice little archery range? And of course, I think the safest play, of course, would be your archery range, because French has a natural transition into archers knights. So his first knight will not be out here doing its thing, but when eventually those archers are going to join the battlefield, they are going to make a pretty solid composition here for the rest of the army, especially with that barracks investment from ZertoN. Those spearmen, though, they're going to get the mining camp, and this is going to feel pretty good for ZertoN, because now, like we said, if he loses that momentum, he's not going to be able to just shut down the Japanese fast castle, and once those samurais come, this is going to be a hard one to take down.
And now, in actuality, there's a number of choices that Creator could go for. Just judging by how much wood that he's investing into, I do believe that it is going to be, as you alluded to, like the archery range response here from him. Just because archers, it's a unit that you might in general just want to go for an army composition. Like Knight and Archer, that is the French army composition per se. So that most likely is going to be a response. Another response could be to just sneak out with 8 villagers to another gold vein on the map, get an outpost up, and just gather the gold from there. That way you don't have to invest into the archer range, and you can just immediately start pumping out knights that way as well. But yeah, so many villagers on wood, so most likely is just going to be the archer range into a couple of archers and try and regain control over the gold vein that way. Now, this is actually a little bit dangerous, because in theory, ZertoN could have also just sent out 1 to 2 villagers to get an outpost up, but decided not to go for that. We also see some spearmen just roaming around trying to find out if Creator did potentially go for the play of just sending the villagers out for some proxy resources. Not the case, though. We will be seeing the archers, and Creator, on a delay, will be able to regain control over the gold vein.
And with that type of control you get, your knight will soon follow. The thing is, this Japanese base doesn't feel like it's too vulnerable here. We've got a pretty safe gold mine there at the back. The berries here on the same side, something that we are going to see is a very easy tower if he wants to slow this down. But of course, when you do that, you risk playing against a very, very aggressive opponent who might just rain the hell down on you in Feudal. The thing is, with only 3 on gold, it shows like not that heavy of a commitment here. We have 5 on wood, and of course, that just means we can drop a production building down and make anything our heart desires. Let's see what that wood is going to be spent on.
We do actually see Creator gathering heavily on the stone outcropping there, so looks like we will be seeing a second TC coming in here from the French. Now, the question is, where is that going to be going up? We do have a couple of spots there. There's the deer, where there are 2 berry spots right next to it, or in the very corner where there's a gold relatively nearby as well. So a couple of really good potential spots there for Creator to plonk down a second TC. The issue with that, though, is that ZertoN is going to have a very comfortable timing when it comes to aging up to Castle Age with that. Though at the moment, he still hasn't quite remacroed his economy for a play into a fast Castle Age. It looks like maybe he's going to be sticking around in Feudal Age for a little bit longer.
And honestly, I love seeing that because I think with his opponent now going for that second TC, you want to do some damage, but look at that safe second TC right on top of the gold. He just wants to ensure that no resources is wasted on getting another mining camp, but also the villagers have a safe spot to just hop into. Now, the question is ZertoN going to be able to do the damage against this that he wants? Because investing in 2 horsemen here being housed, and he does relieve himself there as the house gets finished, and the man will release the first horse, and he will try to find some damage. But now the question is, oh, I say the question is, but we see a little yellow dot going towards that side. He's going to see the stone. He's going to know exactly that that second TC has already been placed, and he needs to go and find where that could be. Now, of course, you want to scout all the food sources. He's running wide angle, but he will spot it right here on the gold in a few moments. There's a lot of villagers here on gold, and with 12 on Feudal as well, this feels like he knows that there's a lot of gold that's going to be needed, and he's not going to have access to it for too long. But 8, just enough to pop back into that TC when the harassment begins.
Something that's definitely questionable here for Creator, or something that he's going to have to address one way or another, is the gold access for him. We actually do see ZertoN going up with an outpost here now. Looks like he might be trying to start remacroing heavier onto the gold for a Castle Age transition. At least that's what the outpost kind of does tell us here. But an issue for Creator is going to be food. That second TC means that he will not have a lot of presence out on the map for quite a while, and because of that, he might have to go for an earlier farm transition, which is very expensive for him at this stage in the game.
Yeah, seeing a Feudal Age farm from a French player is not something that anyone puts on their bingo card. The Creator, now, he's done this before, you know, going for a second TC with French. This man, he knows the weaknesses, but the amount of villagers on food here, it feels like he's desperately trying to get anything and everything out as quickly as he can. Now, we have to keep in mind, French already has that little bit of a boost by getting the villagers out just a bit faster. The problem is just those sheep are about to run out. Just like you said, he doesn't have any food access after this. The berries are not going to be under siege all the way from the top. And the deer pack at the bottom is not something you want to move out to when there are this many units out on the map. ZertoN is not the kind of guy who's going to let you go and just cash in on some deer down there.
Yeah, now Creator, I mean, this is very difficult for him. ZertoN, he's very much just investing a lot into this Feudal Age now. We see more and more spearmen, more and more horsemen coming out from ZertoN. And because of that, Creator, he's gonna even struggle to get access to his berries. ZertoN actually, for the time being, is falling back just a little bit here. This is actually an opportunity now for Creator to get access to those deer and bring a couple of them home to his TC. Just the first bunch, like group collected with the 3 scouts, is going to provide him with almost 1,000 food here. So definitely not to be underestimated. Upgrade is about to be coming in on professional scouts, and yeah, certainly he's just falling back. Actually, only his spearmen are falling back. The horsemen still roaming around, trying to find some avenues of doing damage, but no damage to be done. His Creator is just completely fine with sitting back inside of his base.
Now, sitting back in your base feels great, especially when you have resources for it. Those berries are just giving him a little bit more breathing room to try and get a transition into food here. I would actually like to see what the first farm is going to be, and if it is going to be pretty soon, because I see a lot of wood has been spent. But those 3 knights, they are looking for some damage, running past a whole party of spears, and those spears are turning around trying to chase them. Even just delaying your opponent by doing this already stops that aggression towards your side, and that's exactly what he needed. He needs every second of breathing room he has because he's already 13 villages ahead.
A couple of horsemen are trying to disrupt the pro scouting here, but there should be enough archers, and a knight does get one of the scouts down though.
Now, those deer are going to be quite tasty as the knights are running in to try and get a villager here, but do not find any victims on that goal just yet, with the safe tower refuge being available to all of them. Now these knights, they need to be careful not to run into these spears if they just look away for a second.
Oh!
That's going to be a lot of damage, Crackety.
Yeah, definitely hurts. One of those knights almost on death's bed here. ZertoN, he is also trying to go up to Castle Age behind this, and slowly but surely will be getting their creator. Definitely kind of stuck in the Feudal Age here at the moment. Couple more villagers now moving out to the deer. First couple of berries about to be exhausted as well here for him. He's got a very, very big villager lead at this point in the game. But ZertoN, the tech lead for him and the military lead in combination with that could be proving to be just a little bit too much for Creator to handle. There was also a good bit of idle time there on the TCs here for Creator, actually still going on at the moment. It's not because he's housed, it's just because he is spending all of the food. Actually, right now, he does have enough food. It's just a little bit of idle time. Okay, he did fix that just now. We can tell at the bottom left side, already a minute and 15 seconds worth of idle time on these two TCs. So, missing out on a lot of villagers. Yeah, the main TC is still not actively producing at the moment. This time, he actually doesn't have enough food to queue up another one. So, just struggling a little bit with keeping both of the TCs active. And yeah, once again, another one of the TCs just not working, and we're getting to the point where that's a lot of villagers that he's missing out on.
It does look like he has a little bit of food to be able to do so, but, you know, he's prioritizing making more units. As we see another knight in queue, more archers joining this, and with him pulling back here, Creator knows that, hey, this is most likely the time when Japan is going to age up. French knights, they do pretty well, at least when the numbers are low, and with these only being horsemen for now, he should be okay, but we see him doubling down on those stables, and ZertoN is saying very clearly that he's going to go mounted samurai and make sure the Creator gets overwhelmed. And especially with only having 20 or soon to be 21 archers, you don't have an answer to those mounted samurais. They are going to get on top of you and absolutely destroy you. Those few knights, they need to keep those mounted samurais occupied for as long as possible so Creator can find himself in a position to at least find a response to these.
Behind the ZertoN, he's been moving out to more and more of the berry patches out on the map, but he is reinforcing those with outposts as well, so is going to be able to see those knights coming from a long distance. So the villagers should in theory have ample opportunity to jump inside of the outpost, will do so. Shinto Priest is getting found out by one of those knights though, is getting taken down, so no early rally coming in here. And oh my god, ZertoN, he's sending the horsemen out just as Creator moved out with so many villagers to the deer in the bottom corner. He's getting found out completely. Actually, never mind. These are... Oh my god, thank god, they're archers and not villagers. For a second, I thought these were villagers. But still, the archers are getting found out by the horsemen. He is going to be losing so many of these archers, if not all of them. Yeah, he is going to lose all of the archers here.
And with this, he needs to make sure he target fires. And that's exactly what he does. He tries to take down as many of these horsemen as he can, because he knows if he does not have the most amount of damage here, he's going to be losing it anyway. This already is such a massive loss. The knights now circling, trying to get a little bit of a connection here, and they should be able to back these archers up. A few might even make it out, but these knights are not doing enough, fast enough to be able to save the lives of most of these archers. But the horsemen, it looks like ZertoN has lost the micro focus here for a moment as he's sending out some other attacks. We see the pingings all around the map as the samurais are trying to make some connections, and now we see what happens to a feudal age knight when it's surrounded by samurai.
Yeah, they're getting taken down quite quickly. Lots of villagers now having to move out. This is also because there's just no more scouts remaining that are actively bringing in the deer for Creator. So he's gonna potentially actually have to move the villagers out somewhere out on the map in order to get food. So even though he does have pro scouts, he might get forced into just sending the villagers out to the deer anyways. We're actually seeing additional outposts coming up inside of the base from Creator. He realizes that he's at danger, or rather at risk, of getting swarmed by those knights inside of his base, so decides to get a couple of additional outposts in order to be able to garrison the villagers, should need be, and need will definitely be here in a little bit.
Especially with you being on that 2TC, there's not enough garrison slots to keep at least half of those villagers alive. Now, the problem is, he's stuck here between, I need to go for castle, but at the same time, if I stop making spears, I'm just gonna get completely destroyed. With 22 archers, you do have a pretty decent response to these spearmen, but we've seen ZertoN is overwhelming him quite a bit. These guys, they're not chunky enough to take this big army on just yet, but they will definitely cause a lot of idle time. One of the villagers going down, another one getting eyed but spared until later at least. Our creator is spending every bit of food he has to try and stay in this. Been pop-capped here for a little while now, meaning that more villagers are stuck in that TC, and even though it doesn't look like he's killed villagers, this is technically adding to that kill count in a way, with him getting that idled out. So we do see the connection here at the bottom. The spearmen trying to get a good connection here onto the knights. The archers target firing, but the samurai are right on top of them, and they are absolutely destroying them.
Archers having a rough time here as well, but the Mounted Samurai doing such a great job. ZertoN now having more Mounted Samurai than Creator has French Knights remaining here. Granted, these are only Feudal Age Knights as well. Looks like Creator is going to be able to stabilize, though, at least for the time being. Did lose a whole bunch of villagers, though, down to 7. Still has almost a 20 villager lead, and is adding in more and more farms. So the food income for Creator should be looking quite good. The issue is just that, as you mentioned, the idle time, it's hurting him quite dearly.
Now, we do see a little bit of a pause in making units, and this can signify the creator is saying, okay, I just won this fight, or he just sacrificed a lot of his units. I will probably be able to go for castle, but now he spots a pretty large army looking for round 2, and instantly queues up a bunch more units here as well. We do see with that 400, or now 500 food per minute, it does not feel good to be a French creator if you're busy not being able to create knights. And now with those farms getting further and further away from the TC, this is going to mean that a little mounted samurai raid that is very shortly incoming is going to be quite devastating. We see all the farms kind of angled towards the bottom side. And this means if Creator breaks through those walls, he's going to be able to wreak devastation. But ZertoN is playing this safe. It looks like he's going for his next Daimo as well.
Looks like Creator is finally getting that window of opportunity in to potentially go for his own age up. The food did just spike up again, thanks to ZertoN, stepping off the gas pedal a little bit. One knight, unfortunate knight, is getting caught out there by the spearman. Gets absolutely obliterated in the blink of a second.
Now, again, the production has stopped. And the units is all he's got right now. He needs to make sure he rotates them towards the army of ZertoN. But that is a pretty scary army. We do see here it's 38 or 35 against 35. But when we think about army value, this could definitely be very different between these two, as those are mostly mounted samurai against a bunch of archers and a handful of knights. That is going to be so tough, but it doesn't look like this is going to be enough to destroy him just yet.
It is getting there, though. Lots of villagers in the wood line are going to have to evacuate now as well. ZertoN doesn't quite want to leave this spot quite yet. He's actually also just burning down some farms there. A couple of villagers are going to go down on ZertoN side now as well, as there's a little night raid coming in. Musha also trying to kill some villagers there as well. And now Royal Institute is actually going to be coming in for Creator here, so he realizes that, okay, I am going to need to make something happen here in the Castle Age. I cannot go Imperial Age here anytime soon, which is, understandable, reasonable, as the game has developed here so far. Do have emplacements in these outposts, so going to be able to do a little bit more damage. Some spearmen in there as well. More spearmen also coming in. The knights from Creator are slowly but surely all going to go down. Archers off against the Onimusha are going to do a great job here as well. And the Mounted Samurai are going to be able to kill a lot more villagers here, but this army from ZertoN is getting slowly but surely cleaned up here, and Creator potentially able to stabilize. Let's not forget, he's already done his farming transition here as well, so from this point on, he's only going to be getting stronger and stronger as the game goes on.
This was an absolutely amazing fight here by Creator. Just the fact that he was able to keep those knights alive, he only had enough gold to get veterancy and not produce a single knight more. With that one knight, he's been raiding all of these villages constantly. Now, I think that knight is the soul killer of 5 villages. I was gonna say 6 vills, but no. Do not want to curse the man just yet.
Almost survived that, and if he did, if he actually managed to survive that, that knight would have healed up because Chivalry is already in here at this point. Walt's now getting sieged down though by ZertoN, does want to get access onto that gold vein where Creator is currently gathering gold from. It's only access to gold at the moment.
Now these guys are going to break through, and like we said, all of this is concentrated at the bottom. So this can still be very, very dangerous here. But the Spearmen trying to get a pretty good shot here. Ooh, it looks like the Samurai are running straight into them as well, trying to make a little bit of a flank to get on top of those archers. Onamushas trying to focus fire the knights. They do get him. But with only 2 knights in a Royal Institute, this is not the Royal Institute that we usually see out of a French player. Usually a lot more tanky than that, and it looks like the Onamushas are able to clean up every single knight that dares step forward, as they're just taking off HP every single time they do a little shot, a little bit of micro, taking them all down. The archers now the next victim, and a few of the villagers idly running around for their lives. It looks like ZertoN prevailed against this 2 DC French, up until now at least. He's still got a lot of work to do, but with the units that are coming out, it's not units that right now is going to be able to make the difference he needs. The villagers are fighting the Onamushas and they are going down.
Pulling the ships.
Oh,
man,
wow.
Such a scrappy game here at the moment between them. Creator did lose a lot more villagers here. Still has a somewhat decent villager lead, I want to say, but behind this, ZertoN has been able to secure every single relic of the map, every single sacred site as well. And because of that, in theory, he's got way more income. Not just in theory, in practice, he's got way more income than Creator does at the moment. There also isn't a guild hall, so as this game goes on, it's not going to get much better here for Creator. That's an additional scaling point that just isn't going to be there. Mounted Samurai is still able to wreak havoc here as well, as the pathing is making it rather difficult for Creator to take these last couple of Mounted Samurai down, and somehow, just like this, the villager gap between the two has been bridged now.
And it only took 33 villager kills to reach that point. That is an insane amount of kills, with the villagers trying to fight back. They gave it their all, but it definitely was not enough to shut down this pretty strong army here. But Creator now, he's got a pretty solid amount of food income. And this could be tough for ZertoN, as this is that point in the game where ZertoN is the one out on the map too, and he is the one that can get raided. But we do see that second DC from ZertoN too, to try and ensure that that villager gap does not increase too much, with the second DC still being up from Creator. Now the question is just, with ZertoN's passive income, because of course you've got the relics, you've got the mini relics from Japan as well. So this man's income is going to scale so well into the late game. But of course, Creator, he probably didn't plan on going to Imperial, especially with that Royal Institute investment.
And we are finally seeing that Royal Bloodlines come in from him here, and this, I mean, the economy is still looking kind of nice from both players here at the time, for the time being. We don't have a keep yet from Creator. He does have a lot of villagers on stone, so we'll want to work on that at the moment, just to be able to get that rather large discount in on his military. Just so much value to be had from a keep as the French, but behind the ZertoN, he's walling off the map, so slowly but surely this starts to become a lot more dicey for Creator here when it comes to trying to attempt these raids, as he won't have a lot of avenues to raid if the entire map's just walled off.
Oh, getting through those walls will take a handful of knights, and unfortunately Creator only has half a handful. 7 knights is not the amount you need when you're trying to wreak havoc on a map against someone who's getting towers everywhere, and we see them getting emplaced and reinforced on every single angle with all these sacred site, with the sacred site control, with the relic control. You usually don't feel like, hey, the sacred sites are going to be a win condition for me. But ZertoN, it seems like he realizes this could be a win condition. Right now, my French opponent has a handful of knights that he cannot be raiding with, and I am kind of free to do what I want. So Creator, he's floating quite a bit of resources at the moment now, and it begs the question, is he just going to go for Imperial instead of making units? Because that food, it's just being spent very slowly. I mean, do you see that keep coming up at the front now?
He's probably just waiting for the keep to get the discount and then spend it.
Oh, okay. That's true. See, guys, that's why Crackety is the best. So this is interesting. I think a lot of people don't necessarily know this. When you put a keep in the middle of production buildings with French and JD, they do get a discount on all their units that are in the range of that keep. And that's why it makes such a big difference, especially when your numbers are this low. But it looks like ZertoN is the one who's being aggressive because he wants to make sure the creator does not leave his base.
And with that time advantage, he's going to be able to go to Imperial Age himself. The question is, which one of the landmarks is he going to be going for? The Tanegashima Gunsmith, in theory, is the better scaling landmark, but the Castle of the Crow does provide him with a keep. Not that he really needs a keep at the moment. That is still an option for him. Villagers on the gold mine getting harassed here a little bit. A keep could, in theory, also be used here to secure one of the sacred sites, which he does still have access to, so... Wouldn't put it behind him to just go for the Castle of the Crows. Tanegashima Gunsmith is nice because it scales better. You get more value out of it overall. But a keep is a keep, and a keep is what it's going to be. Castle of the Crows is going to be going up in the middle next to the sacred site. Fight being taken here by Creator. It's not the best fight for him, though. The Yuumi are plenty in numbers and actually able to just completely deter the forces here from Creator. He's trying to rebuild these walls, but at the same time, a chop through means that these walls aren't going to really keep ZertoN out.
Now, what this is doing is forcing Creator to keep investing in units. So ZertoN, of course, does not want to lose this army, but he needs to make sure that he forces Creator to stay in Castle. Because him with Castle of the Crow doesn't necessarily give you anything that you can win the game with right now, but it does give you a little bit of map control. The problem is, it looks like ZertoN has overstepped here just a little bit with all these knights being at the front. They should be able to pick off a few of these units. The spearman numbers are pretty impressive here, but the reinforcements are arriving, and the biggest reinforcement of all is a tower behind a beautiful little wall that these guys are not going to be able to get through. Now the archers can just fire from the back here and try to keep Creator making units in Castle for longer and longer.
Thing is, behind this Creator, he does have royal bloodline, so these knights are going to be quite tanky, almost Imperial Age-ish in their performance. Castle of Crows now going to complete. That does give Creator the signal, hey, my opponent just spent a lot of resource in aging up. Now, ZertoN does have a ton of gold left in the bank, so in theory, he's in a position to just get a whole lot of upgrades in, could potentially also just go for mass-mounted samurai. Doesn't look like he's going to try and go for that at the moment. Fight is coming in. That's a lot of spearmen here at the front side. Not upgraded yet to Imperial Age. The elite upgrades still are going to take a little bit of time to come in here. ZertoN kiting back. Needs to buy himself some time for these upgrades to come in.
It looks like he's kiting back straight towards the main base. Ooh, but ZertoN snuck a little samurai in here and he takes down a few more vills. But it looks like these spears are going to be able to retreat back to base and get their upgrades they so desperately need. But we can see that Creator knows this. He needs to do damage while he can. The spearman, a little bit of a choke point here, not doing too well at the survivability there. But again, he's got the raids on the other side of the map to ensure the Creator cannot just do a big death push here. The thing is, with a death push, it implies that it will let you die. But right now, death, I feel like, is ticking for Creator. He did manage to decap that sacred site, so this is no longer going to be that win condition. But Creator floating a lot of resources, so this man is thinking about Imperial himself, especially getting to your max population. You want to consider this. You want to ensure that you get control of at least a part of the map, as the golds are getting less and less. We can see with zero vills on gold, he just tapped out that big one. This is not going to be an easy position for him to keep getting those resources from, because even if he does age up to Imperial, what then? He doesn't have the gold to actually get any upgrades from there.
And the villagers are moving forward here. Is going to be putting that red palace right next to that large gold vein. Well, not large gold vein, but like normal size gold vein. ZertoN is sticking around here. It's going to make it difficult for these villagers to finally start building. They're having trouble here with the military units being in the way as well. There we go. Red Palace now getting started up. 60 villagers building that. Okay, 58, 57, 56.
That is the fastest Red Palace I've seen in my life. But it's going to secure the gold. The problem is just at what price?
We just lost 20 villagers building that. Only 66 French villagers have died so far this game.
Yeah, he doesn't care about the lives of his people. He just wants to make sure he gets the gold. He's got that second TC. He's hoping that thing will carry him through and the French villager production. But the problem is the damage has been so extensive. ZertoN has completely overtaken now. This is a pretty decent spot for our Japanese player. And I feel like when you get to this point where you're in control of most of the outward golds as well, you just decide, okay, I'm not going to run into your red palace. I've done this before, back when I was gold. Now I know where to attack. I need to attack elsewhere. This could be food sources. You just want to force your opponent to not be able to make all those units. He's very happily clinging on to those knights. They're still able to do quite a bit of damage once they land on top of you. And that's exactly what Creator is going to try to do. We do see the big group going together now. And these guys, when they land, they could be devastating. Especially when you have your defensive landmark all the way at the front here. So they are also going to go exactly for that big goal to try and wreak havoc.
Creator trying to find some raiding opportunities here now behind this. Elite upgrades are coming in on the knights and the crossbows behind this. And Avaletria for the French are quite strong into the Japanese, mainly because they got the Gamberson's melee armor. They can also deploy the Pavisa for the bonus ranged armor. So in static fights, they're going to be very, very strong for the French here for sure. Long term, also looking at trading opportunities. Creator's having a tough time here in regards to that, just because certain, kind of like he's already got these walls up on all of the gold veins here, so it's not the gold veins, but the neutral trading post, so it's difficult for Creator to get a trade route going without some significant investment into some keeps there on these sides as well.
And he wasn't able to actually shut down that tower. 5 villagers still staying alive. He managed to pick off 1 here, but these knights are taking a pretty heavy beating. And when we look at the amount of knights that could be stuck here, this could be tough. It might cause a little bit of idle time here from ZertoN, but even if he gets a bit of idle time here on his farms, he's got 3.5k food in the bank, and he's got a lot of units in queue already. Now doing that bit of a horseman switch, it looks to be. Now, with a horseman switch here, is he just going to try to raid? Oh no, and he just tapped out that little gold he invested so much into. The villagers going idle here at the back, but honestly, you could afford to lose a few of them as well.
Starts to take down the second TC here from ZertoN. That way, if he actually kills villagers, the damage is going to be much more substantial. Villagers jumping out though, want to repair that. Spearmen do now arrive, so Creator is going to get forced off here, is not actually able to finish burning down that TC.
Now, honestly, I think this has been a significant portion of his army just running around, especially when you look at how many resources he's lacking compared to ZertoN. Those knights, if he loses them, this is not something he's easily going to come back from. And we see those Yumis with the fire arrows. They are not scared of much. Quickly taking care of a few of those knights as well. And the keep now going to be able to do quite a bit of damage per hit. Now, those Japanese keeps don't do the greatest if you are trying to kill as many units as possible. But he is doing a pretty solid job at killing the high-value ones that he needs to do. We do see 0 gold per minute here for Creator. So what he's got, that's all he has on offer. And once they get cleaned out, there's no way for him to actually get something to take this down.
Behind the ZertoN also just got the caravan from the Castle of Crows in, so his resource bank is looking pretty stellar at the moment. Ooh, Creator realized there's some units there from ZertoN, is going to switch over to the stone outcropping there instead. Definitely going to be needed here. A little fight coming in. The knights do push past the spearmen, and there aren't that many spearmen out there at the moment to begin with. 20 more now in queue immediately, as ZertoN realized he's going to need a couple more of those. But looks like the archer count at least is going to get cleaned up. Looking at the bank though from ZertoN, that is not a big issue here for him, as he can easily replenish these numbers at the moment.
Now, those knights are absolutely destroying everything just looking at him. But at the same time, these things he's killing, they are all replaceable. And they're being replaced with spears, because you can see ZertoN realizes, hey, your investment has been significant in the knights. I probably need to go that way too. Now, the stone villagers do get caught as he spots them, but a keep desperately gets placed down to try and secure that last bit of gold on his side of the map.
Units trying to take down those villagers, and Creator, he's just going to try burning down the keep here from ZertoN. Archers and crossbows trying their best up against the Horseman and Spearman count here. The Knight count is slowly but surely getting whittled down here for Creator. Looks like the keep is going up, but once again, a lot of villagers have been lost in the process of getting that keep up. And yeah, Creator not able to take down the keep here from ZertoN.
Creator also investing quite a bit to try and get this keep down, and not getting that W on the keep. It feels pretty tough because you've lost a significant portion of your units to just try and get this down, and it's not really going to give you the value that you need. And just like that, he loses again a ton of units that he cannot afford to replace. Him now running back with the tail between his legs, trying to just decap that sacred site at the same time. Now, this begs the question, is that not maybe where the investment should have been all this time, instead of sacrificing so much to keep this keep, or get this keep down? This keep now securing yet another gold for ZertoN that he doesn't even need because of all those relics. He is just drowning in gold. Creator now very low on supply, but still investing into the knights, spending every bit of gold he has to try and get those numbers back up so he can keep the raids going. The horsemen, though, they are going to be critical here to take care of all those orbs at the back. So, Crackety, as someone who doesn't play French, me, how do orbs interact with this horseman composition? Do they have an okay chance?
Yeah, so there's a lot of unique upgrades for the French, for the Arbaletria. One, of course, that gives them the bonus armor, which, you know, Arbaletria are still going to get counted out by the horsemen, but they actually survive a lot longer than normal crossbows would. Also, the additional attack speed means that, sure, in mass, Arbaletria can overkill the horsemen, but with additional attack speed, they are still going to be much more effective when it comes to the time to kill in between the horsemen. So Arbaletria are a lot more effective than normal crossbows up against them, like a ton more effective. But overall, they still like don't really serve the role of a hard counter there against them. So it's more like the Arbaletria are still getting soft countered, but not as badly. And in combination with Knights, they're going to be pretty solid up against them, especially cost-effective wise, as they of course don't cost that much when you produce them from the keeps with the discount.
Now, with these little raid groups that Creator is trying to do, he is definitely doing a bit of damage, but at the same time, it just doesn't feel like it justifies the cost of this. With all these units going to be mostly going down here, the villagers that he kills, they are easily replaced, with ZertoN still having that second TC up, and also, again, still can afford to lose some units. He's got so many resources in the bank. Villagers, any unit may die, but now ZertoN is doubling the wall with a stone variety to ensure that those night raids are just temporary.
ZertoN with such a big bang at this point in time could think about just deleting a couple more villagers and go for a larger army push here now. Yeah, this stone wall is gonna really serve the purpose of just making sure that he can decide where to attack, and this is I don't know, he's kind of setting himself up for a long game here, which doesn't make a lot of sense considering Creator. Like, this game is already in the long stages. Creator has set himself up in a very difficult manner, going for the Royal Institute. Like, he doesn't have a scaling point. He's got no relics. ZertoN at this point could just stop investing into these trash units because he's got so much gold in the bank. Just go for mass mounted samurai, and it wouldn't really be something that Creator could do to stop a full army of mounted samurai. Villagers trying to escape here, but they're getting shot down. Keep does go down. ZertoN, he doesn't have a wall in the middle of the map, so that's the way that Creator can still push through here. ZertoN is going to have to react to that now. More units coming out from Creator space to reinforce.
It does look like that keep in the middle definitely got the attention of these units, and honestly, this is a pretty massive investment to try and get that down. Rackety, this thing, will it even die? It looks like it's not planning on it.
Yeah, there's only very few units here that actually throw torches, and without incendiary arrows, there's no bonus damage from the ranged units here that's coming in. Behind the ZertoN, he's just torching down production buildings actually.
He realizes taking down that keep on the gold is already going to put him in such a good spot. With a few more horsemen, it was enough. And him getting that kill, it feels good. But what did it get you? You have lost a lot of horses into this investment. And just like we can see, Creator, he's got a pretty formidable army here. It's just composed of a lot of trash units. And is ZertoN going to be able to make the units he needs to take this down? With the bank he's got, the answer is yes. We just need to see him execute it. Because it's gotten to, I feel like, a little bit of a stalemate in terms of how do we do death-defying damage. So these two definitely trying to do the raids, trying to hit them hard, but they're not able to find that finishing blow because both of them are just trying to raid while the other one is attacking. Now, these archers, they do pick up...
This is desperation.
Mm-hmm.
Creator, he's trying to find some way of doing damage, but like just looking at the bank from ZertoN here, he's got so many different options on how to end this game. One weird thing is that instead of trying to end this game, he's just existing at the moment, reacting to what Creator is doing instead of like actually creating his own opportunities at the moment. Which is odd, but, you know, I guess it's also like a reasonable strategy. His opponent is exhausting himself on high-value units with the Knights and the Arbaletria. He can just sort of keep making these very cheap units and build out his resource bank. And at one point, if he's able to take a fight like this now, he can suddenly start switching into the more expensive units and after that potentially win. But he's maybe giving Creator a little bit too much of leeway here. The Arbaletria are now with Incendiary Arrows as well as the Archers, so the damage is actually quite formidable. ZertoN down to only half the military pop that Creator has out here.
And this is usually the hard part with that balance, to understand, okay, how many villages can I just keep while my opponent is fully invested in military, for me to be as greedy as possible while still producing units. As we see him rallying these forward now, and they are just dying one by one. But luckily for ZertoN, those units don't do too well against the keeps. We do see that boiling oil now tickling a few of these archers, and it will say, "You shall not pass," but he does need to emplace that as well. Definitely a scary situation, but at the same time, he's just got so many resources that needed to be it for Creator. He's only got 155 supply now, and the reinforcements, with him now pulling back and attacking with a larger army, this looks pretty good. ZertoN now kind of evening out the army count.
At this point, it looks like Creator has kind of exhausted himself a little bit too much now. No more Knights on the field. He is reinforcing with the Horsemen, but behind the ZertoN did actually manage to get some good raids and Creator down to 67 economy units. And yeah, this is one of those situations where, in theory, ZertoN has all the tools now to finish this off. We do see Hand Cannoneers and Cuso is finally starting to add in some high-value units.
Now getting those bombards out as well, they're going to do a pretty good job at one-shotting one unit at a time, and especially with Creator only investing in the trash units, he's not going to find a way to get through onto those bombards soon enough. Now we do see Creator putting down a keep there with a little bit of siege units that he wants as well. The question is just, how is he going to afford siege if he does not have a single bit of gold? We've got 18 gold in the bank, and that
Behind
has
so
no
many
interest.
rocket towers as well. Yeah, we got the rocket TC, the rocket keeps here, so these raids are kind of difficult to pull off. We have another keep now from Creator in the middle of the map, also putting up some siege workshops to try and get some infrastructure damage in here. But now ZertoN's starting to invest into siege. We got double cannons, we got double mangonels, we got a lot of hand cannoneers in queue. This is the moment now where he's starting to really push out. We're also getting a Yumi Bannerman. That does affect the hand cannoneers, and at this point, yeah, Creator is getting finally fully cleaned up. Just like a GG should be coming in. There it is, ZertoN able to close out the game now, and is going to set himself up for match point in this best of 3.
Now, that felt like Creator had some opportunities to make a comeback, but ZertoN, he just kept the pressure up. I absolutely love the fact that Creator looked like he was ahead for a while of this, and the fights that he took against those mounted samurai, they looked sublime for a lot of them. But ZertoN, he just kept raiding, he just kept doing damage. We had more than 170 villager kills that game, just from these guys with the horses. The horses were deadly. Yeah. Crackety, These guys showed us exactly what the horsemen and the knights needed to do. The problem is just, it didn't ever feel like that was enough for the other one to back down. I love the fact that both of them are just constantly harassing, even when things are getting that heated. But yeah, I think this shows us a bit of creator as well. He's playing French 2 TC, which I would not have predicted at all. So something I will not be able to predict is the Aobits and which wings he then goes for. Because we've just seeing French 2 TC against Japan already is a little bit insane as far as the current meta goes. But China versus Aobits, Dry Arabia, pretty standard map for these two civilizations as well. I'm a little bit surprised to see China here though, because we've seen a lot of players still banning China. So letting this one through, pretty surprising.
China is a classic civilization after all. Like it's all like if you get access to it, you're gonna pick it no matter what. Now, China did suffer a little bit, of course, from the Pro Scout nerf. There's also been some other, I want to say, interesting reallocations of resource costs for China. Like they buffed the village for reasons. No, it's Shuxi and China, right? Like I'm hearing production say that it's just Shuxi, but I'm 99.9999% sure that's also for China, which is pretty significant because Shuxi's start has been a lot smoother than China's when it comes to building the villages. Because China, they always had to gather like an additional 3 wood to be able to afford the village after the first initial 5 villager drop-off on the mill. Shuxi was able to afford it immediately. So it's like one of those weird things where, sure, like Pro Scout nerf does hurt China a little bit, but they've been buffed on other sides, which still makes them a pretty strong civilization.
China, I love the fact that it's still being contested as a pick. Because we can see it's first pick for ZertoN. This is a civ that he's comfortable with, and he wanted to use it on this map. Ensuring that you get China on Dry Arabia, it feels good, because Dry Arabia spawns, it just plays well into the whole of China's playstyle. Very often your deer are pretty accessible, and all things permitted, let's hope the caster curse does not kick in, but the deer are usually not on the same side, and it does give you a little bit of more access to food. But at the same time, with Aobids, we have a civilization that can punish a lot of what China is good at, especially if you can be a little bit creative. I wanted to say creative, but I wanted to make a pun, but I realized that one wasn't going to land. So Aobids, we've been seeing a lot more dervishes into going for your military wing, which I think China might not have such a good time against. But Krakeny, you are the person with that type of knowledge. Tell us about this matchup and the decisions that you can make.
So this matchup is, in general, relatively interesting with the way China is still being played at the moment with the Pro Scout play. So you will be able to absorb the deer pretty much completely. And with that, a lot of food comes your way, of course. You then just mass produce a whole ton of Lancers and try and kind of like choke out the Aobids there. Aobids are still going to fast castle as well. They're going to make mass Camel Lancers, and for the most part, even though Camel Lancers are like debuffing your cavalry, you can still just spam Lancers into it pretty much non-stop. That's the main way to play that. And I think that's going to be the case here. If either player like kind of falls short of knight production, then it might swing very quickly for the other side. It's gonna be an interesting one, exactly how this one plays. A lot of it has to do with like deer spawns, where they spawn exactly, and of course we got the decay now on the deer as well when they're being brought back to your base with the pro scouting. Overall, I think this can be a very, very even matchup if you know, like the Aobid player has decent enough timings, because you can't rush your age up, so you have to have good macro behind your initial age up, and chances are you probably shouldn't try and distract, or rather do too much in feudal age as the Aobids, because you're not going to be able to stop the fast castle age from the Chinese.
Well, let's see what these two boys are going to be bringing for us, yeah? Because ZertoN in China, honestly, the colors are betraying me here. ZertoN in yellow on China, and Creator in red on Aeobits.
Yeah, the
I'm
flags
feeling
are making this
conflicted here.
difficult. But to be fair, both flags have both red and yellow when it comes to the symbols as well, so it's a little bit of both. It would have probably been harder to read ZertoN's and Creator's name if the background was also the same color.
True, true. Okay, so this was. Oh no. Oh no. This is all controlled by Cal. Crackety. We just gave him way too much power. Now, looking at those spawns that you talked about earlier, we can look at a little bit of a general direction as we see those little sheep disappearing on the minimap. I love these sheep, and I love how diverse they are, and we can see the color of said diversity on each of them. Absolutely wonderful.
It
Now,
was great
look.
foresight from Cow to have it be Minecraft sheep. That way he could easily adjust to the implementation of brown and black sheep.
I'm definitely sure that's why he chose the Minecraft sheep. He was like, this is pretty five-head. In the future, this is gonna matter. Do we have a pink sheep model? That's the real question.
Probably.
Oh,
There's
he
pink
says,
sheep in
yes, he
Minecraft.
says. Okay, great. So he says there's a pink sheep model ready to roll. Now, when we look at ZertoN spawn here, we see that his deer being there on the top side, it looks like the double deer spawn is there on the top. So this means that if he starts pro scouting, he's not going to stop. But if Creator allows it only, like you said, this is not something that they usually want to fight in Feudal. Creator is not playing the Feudal Age aggression civilization, but again, French 2 DC, I put nothing past this man, and he goes for logistics. So getting your two dervishes out here is going to be wonderful, because this means you can take some engagements, heal your units up, and you could just sustain against most pushes from anyone else in Feudal. So yes, we'll see what the villager split looks like after to try and determine what the next moves are going to be.
Yeah, also, of course, gives you the opportunity to go for economic wing growth in Castle Age or potentially even reinforcement wing if you just want more units there. In general, it's very nice to have the dervishes, as you said, in Feudal Age, because that means once you get to Castle Age, you can immediately have them in position to pick up some of the relics. And also, if your opponent, should he decide to actually play a little bit more heavily into Feudal Age and get some units out, you will have the ability to heal up your units in Feudal Age, which is just incredibly powerful.
Now, Creator here scouting out exactly what he needs to see, trying to understand what is the next push going to look like. He's got 5 on wood, meaning he is most likely going to start making units pretty soon. Now, I absolutely love this, because when you go for the Dervish wing, you have that advantage that most civilizations don't have in Feudal, being able to heal your units. So with just a horseman, you can stop anyone even thinking about pro scouting, etc. But ZertoN, he's not thinking about getting any extra gold. He's got 9 on food, 8 on wood, and that means this man is going to be producing whatever he wants in Feudal. This is not going to be our sit back and fast castle China with a little bit of a pro scout in between.
Yeah, indeed. The moment we
And,
saw the sheep count earlier, ZertoN's definitely kind of. It would be good for him definitely to go for the pro scouts here. He did not find as many sheep as Creator did. We do have the dervishes in now. We also see a stable coming up immediately, so it looks like he wants to invest at least a little bit into 1 to 2 desert radius maybe, just to have a ranged cavalry unit to be able to harass some sides. Means that ZertoN is also going to be forced to invest into units. Does get the stable up, so of course option is going to be there for him to just quickly pump out a couple of horsemen. You need like 3 horsemen to effectively take down the a single desert raider alongside some dervishes, because let's not forget, weirdly enough, the dervishes also cause camel unease. These aren't like military camels, but they're still menacingly enough for the horsemen to get debuffed, and because of that, you need quite a few of them if you want to take down a desert raider.
This feels a little bit tough though, because now he's investing quite a bit into horsemen. Like you said, he doesn't have the same level of food, but what happens now when those guys are going to be fighting off? You have horsemen against horsemen, but on the one side, they can heal. And the sustaining of this type of unit is just going to be so much better for Creator here because he's going to lose less and he's going to be able to just get food a little bit safer because we do see that back deer for him too. And also when you're in your opponent's base, they're not going to be the one who's raiding you. But the Desert Raider is quite a bit forward. The horsemen are doing quite a lot of damage here. And I'm swallowing my words as I see those horsemen absolutely wreaking havoc on that poor dervish. Oh, on the poor Desert Raider.
Yeah, doing a good job there. Is able to force him back. We also see now archers coming in as well. That's going to be difficult for certain, though, because Creator is also investing into some horsemen alongside it. We're now seeing pro scouts in queue for certain, so he does realize, okay, I am going to need to pro scout this, as we can already see the sheep is kind of running low for him here at this point in the game.
He's invested a lot of that food into getting those horsemen out, and he needs to be out on the map to do something about this. The problem is now ZertoN gets control of one side, and he has control. That's it. You are really going to struggle to be able to move past this, because again, both deer being on the same side, once you get pro scouting started, it feels great, because you can just keep going, and your pro scouts are going to have to move one direction only. You're not too worried about them, but with this, Creator knew that. He knew what he needed to shut down. And ZertoN, he is turning back around, and it does look like he might look for a bit of damage here. But again, these units are just going to be able to heal back up once they get into the spot. The archers here at the front, they're going to be able to do quite a bit of damage here to the Desert Raider. But again, you are up against a few horses. You don't want to overinvest into this. And Creator now is ready to click that age up. Now, going into Castle Age, getting Growth Wing is going to be so beneficial, because with all those extra vills, he is going to make Castle a very tough one for ZertoN to defend himself from.
Yeah, certain. He is also completely idled out at the moment on the sheep. Has to wait for these next couple of deer to be coming in. So we do see the eco-efficiency count just kind of plummet a little bit here for certain, as those deer are about to get dropped. Villager is finally able to start working again. Yeah, Growth Wing. It's just so many villagers that you're getting out of it immediately. It means that your economy will very quickly surpass that of the Chinese, even with the imperial officials. And certainly he's so far away from Castle Age because he had to invest a lot more into the reaction against what Creator has been doing. Because realistically, what did Creator invest? Like 2 horsemen, 1 Desert Raider? Certain, he invested into 4 horsemen, 8 archers. That's 2 different production buildings as well. That's a pretty big delay. Additional scouts, pro scouts, it's a very big investment for him. He will finally be able to get the deer in, but he's going to be very, very much delayed on his timings. Has a lot of villagers on food though, so in theory he should very quickly be able to catch up in the Castle Age timing, but Creator for now will surely have the tempo advantage.
Now, I love to see Abids being in the driving seat and how people respond to this, because getting 10 archers, that's great when you're dealing with Desert Raiders. Getting 10 archers against Camel Lancers, that's a very different story. And ZertoN is getting more and more horses. I can see that he probably wants to outlast Creator in terms of food, be able to raid when the villagers inevitably do go out there to try and get something. But the problem is, that's assuming that Creator is going to be needing to move out on the map anytime soon. I would love to see the food situation there for Creator. Oh, it does look like he might be on a ticking time bomb when it comes to that. And I think this is maybe the only weakness you get against, or as the Obits. You run out of food, you also have to move out, just like most civs. You're not potentially going for pro scouts. You don't have an easy farm transition, but he does have a few relics coming his way, and that should feel pretty good. Now, Creator does not have a lot of military, and still the numbers on the side of ZertoN. So with these horses, he should cause a little bit of worries and panic, but the response is going to be Camel Lancers, and they will be arriving shortly. So ZertoN, he knows this is a ticking time bomb, as he's also ready to go and age up and probably join in the Lancer economy.
Yeah, we got double stable, double archer range for Creator, so he is going for the for the typical Camel, Lancer, and Archer army composition here. Imperial Palace is now coming up for certain, so Castle Age will be coming in very shortly. More villagers now also on gold, so is kind of still setting himself up for a Mass Lancer play here, which is definitely still going to be the optimal call here to go for when you're up against the Iobits. And yeah, he's gonna also probably want to try and at least steal a couple of the deer away from Creator, as Creator, of course, as the Iobits will most likely first be going for the berries anyway, meaning that ZertoN is gonna have a nice timing to go for that. Little raid coming in on the gold vein here. Looks like one of the villagers is gonna be going down. At the same time, though, same thing is happening on certain sides, so Camel Lancer was able to pick off a villager there as well. Third relic just been brought back. Fourth relic also has been picked up, so Creator, he's got the... I mean, this is just typical when you're playing as the Iobits, that they're just pretty much always going to be getting the majority of the relics in thanks to the Dervish. It's just such a big timing there. It's similar to the Delhi, as in you immediately have religious units up on aging up. The difference is that you're actually going to be like aging up a lot sooner, and it actually fits your playstyle to be aging up quickly.
Now, what I love about the fact that he's going for the deer on the other side of the map, with the Pro Scouts nerf, those deer do decay as they're being carried. So it's not just about getting food to you, it just makes the deer completely unfeasible to go for afterwards. So it does feel pretty decent here. I do believe that there might be a bug that's still active where the deer keeps decaying once you have dropped them as well. So this,
only if the scout dies while carrying.
Oh, okay. So if they drop them willingly, they don't die.
Yeah, exactly. So if you drop them normally, they're not going to keep decaying. However, if you do drop them while they are... Well, if the scout just drops them because he dies, then yeah, they're gonna keep decaying.
Now, ZertoN has quite a few Lancers already, but same goes for Creators. Creators, Camel Lancers, now 7 of them already on the field, but both of the players, I'm seeing an essence a little bit of last game. They want to raid, but they're being very careful about it. They don't want to overcommit and lose as much as we saw in the last one. With the French Knights in the previous game, he definitely sacrificed a lot more than he should have, and with these Camel Lancers, not making those same mistakes. Veteran upgrade now coming in for the Archers as well, with only 7 Archers on the field. That is quite surprising, as he's not making any more of them either. And not a lot of gold going around.
Yeah, not a lot at the moment. I mean, to be fair, a lot of it is now going to start coming in from the relics. He's also starting to capture up the sacred sites, which are going to provide him with a lot of gold per minute here. So it makes sense to, like, slow down a little bit on the gold gathering, as most of it is going to now start coming in just passively here.
Okay, see? Now, today I learned, and especially with now adding in a few more archers, this is gonna start getting quite scary. Because ZertoN with those lancers, he's not raiding. He's not out on the map, absolutely obliterating the Aeobits player for moving out. As we can see, he's trying to decap these sacred sites with him not having control of any of the gold in the later stages of the game. This feels like the opposite of what we saw from him the previous game. In the previous game, he had full control, all the relics, all the sacred sites, and now he's the one on the back foot. This might just be the type of control that Creator was looking for.
Yeah, a couple more villagers also going down here. Behind this Creator, he did have some idle time on his TC, did lose out on making 2 villagers. That's why the population count is a lot closer than one might assume at this point in time. These raids are still going on, and Creator is actually doing a good amount of damage here. ZertoN once again trying to decap one of the sacred sites, is pulling his entire army here in order to try and deal with these little raids from Creator. Creator might lose out on his infantry count here though, as it's a little bit out of position, but fight is getting taken now. Range units from ZertoN now focusing on the range units from Creator. Doesn't have veterancy on his archers though, and there's still a dervish healing behind all of this. Looks like ZertoN does have more numbers here, so should be able to beat back Creator here.
Yeah, these camels just did not go on top of these archers themselves. They were fully focused on getting the lancers down, but the camel unease just was not enough to get this on the way of ZertoN. But ZertoN now, even though he doesn't have that sacred site control just yet, he is the one pushing out and taking back control here. Now, Creator, His food has run out by this point. He's most likely on the berries. I do see a little dot there on the deer as well. So this is not going to be the same type of pressure as we would expect from him earlier on. He's spending every bit of resources he has, but now it feels like every unit he loses, it's not one of those fun positions where you can just remake them. You don't have a farm transition. You don't have a second TC. You're dead even against your opponent. And you need to be able to survive these because you're not going to have that comeback mechanic you did in the previous game.
Creator behind this trying to remass his lost Camel Lancer numbers. ZertoN, though, still keeping up, has a lot more Lancers.
It does feel pretty scary when they approach all so slowly. We do see them heading towards the berries there. So this could be a little bit devastating as Creator could sacrifice a villager or two. There's a tower just to ensure that they are safe, but that's enough Lancers to take it down.
One monk is getting picked off there, but yeah, this outpost is not gonna last too long here. A couple of Camel Lancers are making their way over here, but not going to be enough. Villagers jumping back inside, none going down. Jumping out the other side, once again, none going down. More Camel Lancers now coming in, followed up by some archers as well. Now this should start to be enough for Creator to hold this location. Didn't lose a single villager here. Crucial.
No, I'm actually quite surprised to see that ZertoN did not commit to that tower completely. He went for the fight. He saw how well it went in the previous round when he just took the Lancers straight into the camels and took a fantastic fight. But this one just didn't feel that way. He felt like he could win this, but those villagers all staying alive, that must feel pretty good for Creator here, because that just extends, again, that lifetime into the whole food transition that he needs, because Barbican of the Sun is now coming down. And this means that ZertoN is going into the Song Dynasty. Villager count, he can quickly catch up. But the problem is food income has tanked significantly. I would like to see where that Barbican is placed.
It's on a boar. It's going to be a Barbican for him as well. So once that Barbican finishes up, he is also going to be able to get some additional food income there. And also the Barbican is the requirement for building granaries, so this is also going to allow him to start building up some granaries, which are going to be coming up in the back of his base just now.
Now, getting those granaries up and running is going to be important, but we saw what Creator was doing last game. He was very actively raiding, so ZertoN making sure that he gets those wham walls up pretty early, and he doesn't want to face the same level of raids as he saw in the previous one. I felt like ZertoN, he knew he had to wall last game, but now he really knows it, and he makes sure that this is not going to be a repeat with all those raids. Creator now, he's the one getting raided by ZertoN as those Lancers find a few victims trying to desperately build a wall, and this is a decent pickup, because again, Creator needs every bit of time he can to try and get that food transition going. We do see 1.2k food per minute, but that's just limited edition food sources, as only a handful of farms have been placed. The Lancers quickly clean up, the Camel Lancers quickly clean up the Lancers, and they say only one Lancer shall be allowed here. Now, this is a pretty scary army from ZertoN, and the thing is, I feel with 18 Camel Lancers, they're probably not going to have a good time in a face-to-face fight.
This, I mean, Creator right now, he's got a ton of ranged units as well. I think this is sort of the point in time now where both players just have a solid army mass that this is where you want to start thinking about manganiques. A couple of knights might be going down here, as there is a good mass of crossbows now as well.
Now, getting manganiques out is definitely a pretty tough spot for ZertoN then, because getting on top of them is going to be so hard with all those camels just floating around. He has to pull off the food here at the front now. And Creator, with all those camels, I don't know if ZertoN has an answer to this. He's got a handful of crossbowmen to be able to try and snipe them. He tries to get the Lancers on top of the archers, or the crossbows and the archers, and just not able to do so. So he does need to pull back and be careful here, but food per minute is not looking too good for him, as Creator is still just producing and getting a little bit more than ZertoN is.
ZertoN just doesn't have military here, funnily enough. This is where just the IUBIT compounding issue of just being able to absorb all of the berries here is all adding up. Oh, Imperial officials kind of stuck at the front there, and without enough units, yeah, certain there's no way out of this one. That one is going to be GG, and Creator now also going to be able to get a point on the board. That means that we are going to be going to a decider match best of 3 here between the two.
Now, the thing is, the decider match is not just a regular decider match. This is a King of the Hill decider match. And honestly, I cannot predict anything in this situation. When you play on King of the Hill, you see some pretty crazy strategies from some players, but in the end, we'll see who the better player on the hill is, because between these two, I'm so happy to see that we have a 1-1 already. This is a best of 3, and in these early rounds, best of 3s definitely tend to have a little bit more of an RNG aspect to them, because usually in a best of 5, we do see quite consistently the higher ranked player gets through. But with Creator and ZertoN, I think here both of these guys are just showing their teeth, but are they showing enough? Because I feel like a lot of the raiding potential from these guys are just not showing as we have seen from them in the previous games. Or previously, at least.
Mind you, not everything really tends to be about raids. This time we didn't have a lot of early aggression. There was a lot of just macroing towards what's going to be happening, right? Like Creator, he feigned a little bit of early aggression, then went for the tech up instead. ZertoN did follow up, did manage to hold here early on, but in the end, he just wasn't ever really able to scale past that.
Yeah.
Was lacking upgrades for a long time, like even here, 20 minutes into the game, the only economy upgrade that ZertoN had was Wheelbarrow. And especially like the tier 1 economy upgrades are super, super important, because they scale a lot more thanks to their incredibly reduced cost. So when you don't have these upgrades, you just start falling behind more and more, even with the same villager count. And Creator, of course, having the sacred sites, having the relics, it all just compounded more and more to the point where ZertoN just was not able to keep up with the military here. And now we had a relatively long game number 1, a normal-sized game number 2. Game number 3, just courtesy of the map, is going to shape up to be a relatively quick game, because we're moving over to King of the Hill. And that map, it is all about confrontation. You cannot not confrontate on that map.
Now, Raggedy, I really hope that you just did not invoke the caster curse and caused us to be on King of the Hill for 40 minutes.
Yeah, surely.
No, Byzantines, they've been pretty powerful. I think a lot of people are not sure where to place things in the current meta based on these new civilizations with the changes that we've been seeing. But we do get to see a little glimpse of that from these players as they're trying to fight their way through to these qualification spots. But Byzantines, we've seen a lot of greed in the early game if the other civ allows them to. Ottomans, they do allow you a little bit of greed in the early game if they don't get that momentum up. Usually, you do get a little bit of a play here with an early game barracks. You do have a spearman that you can fight against, but on King of the Hill, that's usually not what is in store for you. You usually have your military school, and that's it. So, we know that Ottoman is an absolutely insane civilization in Feudal if they do get that momentum going. Byzantines, though, they like a little bit of time, and I don't know if that Ottoman, I'm gonna call it the dead time, is enough for Byzantines to really get going, because with their boosted economy, they are absolutely crazy, even in Feudal.
Yeah, both these civilizations are incredibly strong, but it's like one of those two things, right? Like Ottomans, what do they have going for them? They don't have the greatest of economies, if not to say one of the worst of economies. But what they do have is probably by far the strongest units in the game, with the Sipahi, with the Janissary, and of course like being able to reinforce that with the military schools, and relatively good early timing when it comes to economy upgrades as well, courtesy of the Madras landmark, of course, which just provides you with so much food and an immediate mill to research upgrades on as well. Byzantines, they're in a similar-ish boat where their economy is kind of the opposite. They got like really, really strong economy, but the baseline units from them are just okay. That's why they rely on mercenaries from other civilizations, which in turn kind of makes them really, really strong again. But what they don't have access to is Sipahi, especially on this map because there's also no neutral markets which can supply you with Sipahi. So that is where Ottomans can kind of like have the leg up, and with Meta, especially in combination, military-wise early on, they should be favored. And it's all about that military here in King of the Hill. And we will be jumping right into our game number 3 now and see just who is able to take control of the middle and hold it in order to secure the victory. And looking at it, we're jumping right in. ZertoN yet again in the color yellow playing as the Byzantines here. Creator in the color red playing as the Ottomans. And ZertoN is starting us off here with all villagers on the berries. And you know what that means, Whammon? That means that we're going to be setting ourselves up for a hippodrome play here.
Yeah, well, you mentioned they don't have Sipahis, but they do have hippodrome. So this is an interesting choice here, because this means that ZertoN is going to be the aggressor. And you were talking about the fact that Ottomans, they do have a strong army. And yes, but do they have a strong enough army early enough to deal with those hippodrome units? I love that ZertoN is not going for a single bit of stone. He's just he's just ensuring that that passive stone you get from building buildings will be enough for him to get that first cistern, and that boost is going to be all he needs, at least initially. Now, Creator here, he's going for his first military school, which means that that first military school is going to start making the spears that he needs, but they do take a pretty long time, and they're great if your opponent is being greedy. But ZertoN now, he is not going to be the greedy man that we are going to see today. I would love to see how the rating goes against this here, because of course people might say that, hey, he's got spearmen, he's going to be able to defend against these horses. The thing is, when you have enough of them, they get to run around in different directions, and your spears are really going to struggle to take them down. I always feel like when you are the civilization opening with spears, you are just that much at a disadvantage compared to your opponent, because your opponent is the one who's just living his best life, raiding in different spots, and you are always going to be the one chasing.
The one thing where it's nice, I want to say, is with the Ottomans, of course, you do start with the additional, like, 50 starting stone that you just want to, like, get use out of immediately. And by the time you reach Feudal Age, you're going to have 3 spearmen out for free. So the military school definitely pays for itself. And knowing that the Byzantines here in this one, well, you don't know it yet, or at least Creator doesn't know it yet, but with the Byzantines in this one going for the Hippodrome build, you're going to want to have spearmen at one point sooner or later anyways.
Yeah, you do. You do need them to do a killing blow. You do need ZertoN to make a few mistakes to be able to lose them as well. But yeah, you definitely don't want to waste any time with that military school. He did stop the military school there. Is that military school active? Because you can untoggle, and I did not see that little bar
It
going.
is inactive at the... Okay, wait. I don't get why. This might have been a misclick. Maybe Creator just doesn't want Spearman to take up population space and just wants to wait until he hits Feudal Age so he can make Sipahi instead. It's odd, I want to say.
That
Like,
is...
unnecessarily odd and weird.
See,
Maybe there's a plan.
I was, for one moment there, I thought, okay, maybe it's an overlay thing. Maybe there's a building bug. Something has to be going on for me not to see that little bar going. But apparently Creator is doing this with intention. And getting that extra spearman out, it feels good. But usually it does overlap with your age up. And maybe he just wants to rather invest in getting the Sipahis as quickly as possible. But again, I think that's just basically destroying one full spearman.
2 even, yeah. This is just not really helping him at the moment.
But he's got a plan, Crackety. We've got to trust in the man's plan. I don't know what the plan is. You don't know what the plan is, so I'm worried about the plan. But Creator must know something we don't. And right now, he is just... Ooh, maybe it was the PopCap thing that we just saw. He was PopCap there for a sec.
Yeah, he would have been
Maybe that was
PopCap,
the
but to be
case.
fair, he had the resources to drop a house, so I still don't quite see it. Maybe there's just something that he figured out, something that's just a habit for him, and yeah.
Now the 3 villagers are moving out, and it looks like they are having a bit of an eye here on some external resources. But no, they're just staying on the stone. now going to be adding in more military schools. And with ZertoN now aging up, we see our first Hippodrome Horseman in production. Second one as well. Rackety, this man is going to be aggressive.
Yeah, Hippodrome, of course, pumping out those horsemen quite quickly. Does have the first little cistern there as well, in order to speed up the military production speed there. No villagers on stone yet for certain, so isn't going to be scaling into the cisterns anytime soon, unless he starts pulling some villagers over towards that.
Now he does get his first mercenary. He's finally made the decision, and we are going to see just enough to be able to produce our first batch. And this is going to feel pretty good to just get that bunch of longbows. Now, with Creator finally resuming spearman production in his military school, that makes the question mark even bigger. And now he's getting that extra bit of spearmen that he needs against these Hippodrome horsemen. And that horseman now landing, just getting a little poke off on a Vil, and the spearman standing at the ready. But the second horseman is there, and if he had a second spear, this would be a very different conversation.
It's kind of weird that he does decide to now go for the spearman from the military school. So yeah, this is an odd one to say the least. ZertoN behind this is already queuing up the first batch of longbowmen behind this. We're now also getting the second military school in from Creator, but the issue is that military schools, we talked about this one, they do take a while to pay off. So Creator, he's gonna be having a rough next 3 minutes ahead of him.
Now, with the second military school coming out, ZertoN not slowing down on his production. I say that, but there's not an extra horseman in queue. He's just gotten a wheelbarrow here. Oh, never mind. He's back up. So the next horseman following suit. You most likely want to do as much damage to your opponent here in Feudal as you can, especially with you having the mobility here. You're waiting for Creator to respond to what you're doing. So getting into that driver's seat, this is for ZertoN, it needs to be.
We are now seeing the Sipahi production finally kick off, so Creator will finally start to be able to get a couple of those out, but being on your first Sipahi while your opponent already has 6 horsemen out, it's a little bit dangerous. We're officially in the danger zone right now for Creator, and ZertoN, he's he's on the highway at the moment, blasting at full volume.
Now, getting all of these units in position is going to be so critical, especially when you are on a wood line that is susceptible to a little bit of longbows. And he does get a shot off. The first villager will go down, and that is massive. Just getting a villager kill this early on and forcing your opponent to change wood lines is already putting you in such a good spot. Now, we do see the walls coming up from ZertoN. He's not going to be making any raiding mistakes for himself today, as that trauma from the lances will be very fresh in his mind. But now, with the horses, he's looking straight at the gold, and he should be able to get here. With the amount of units he has, this is not something he's too scared of taking. That spearman quickly paying the price, and the horses pushing everything off of gold. This is a really, really good spot for him. But now the problem is...
He's gotten the upgrade in. He's gotten just enough gold in to get Pierce Armor, and he does realize that he needs Sipahi. So he's added in a second stable. He does, of course, have the bonus production speed. Actually, a third stable even coming up from him. A little bit unfortunate villager pathing there. They went to the other berries, but look at that. Creator on top of it does realize, pulls him back to the Madras, so is going to be working on getting more of that necessary food and come in. And he's already got one of the matters up. A second one is coming in from the military school. Sipahi count is rising, and he's about to be able to keep up with ZertoN here in the horseman count. Sipahi actually going for the wraparound here. ZertoN's going to have to be careful. Might just pull the triumph ability here. And yeah, it's going to get activated. Sipahi are just going to stand there, though. Now they're going to fall back. In theory, Matter, with the +2 melee armor that you can have active on him, he's going to be taking significantly less damage from these horsemen. But yeah, right now, the Creator, he's just running away from these horsemen, and with that Triumph is going to run out, and it's not going to be available for ZertoN for a long time here.
Now, the fight here could be interesting because the meta is down, and the next one is going to take a while to come out. So he does decide to take the fight, but the horses were healed up to full. We do see that the horsemen are absolutely obliterating some of these spies. The reinforcements, though, they're very close to base, so he does need to be careful here not to overcommit. Zabahi is now taking a few good shots here. The longbows trying to do as much damage as they can, but the horse numbers are just too big here from ZertoN. Problem is, he does need
He's
to keep
getting
in
close to the next vizier point. He
Mm-hmm.
could heal up a lot of these weak Sipahi if he gets to the next vizier point.
And with the method here now, that melee armor is going to make a massive, massive difference. The longbows, oh, he presses it yet again to try and get that last bit of healing up. The scout is fighting himself, but the Zabahi numbers are just going to keep increasing. 3 more horsemen in the queue here from ZertoN, but the Zabahi reinforcements are just closer.
Sipahi just kind of a good unit here. After all things, Triumph just didn't last long enough, and now ZertoN, he just lost a lot of his military units, and behind this, it looks like he was kind of flirting with the idea of going to the next stage behind this. His resources are stacking towards that. He does actually still have a significant amount of units in queue, so should be able to hold, but honestly, there's just so many more Sipahi coming behind this. And he's gonna, oh, those are potentially a lot of dead villagers if Creator notices, but there's enough distance, I feel like. Maybe 1 to 2 might be going down here. Akratowi could also be used, but villagers with wheelbarrow are gonna be able to make it out alive. Longbow's now also helping out there on the defense.
And he's trying to get as much damage on these Sipahis as he can. With that TC fire as well, it feels decent, but like you said, the next vizier point makes this a lot easier for Creator as he now has those imams to just heal those units back up to full. He's still got a few sheep under that TC too, so the production is not going to slow down. And for ZertoN, he knows he messed up in that last fight. He assumed that with getting that triumph ability, he's going to be able to take these. But that's the thing about playing against Byzantines with the Hippodrome. Once the horse is activated, if they're not under your TC killing all your vills, you can just run away and re-engage at a better time for you as well. So ZertoN now desperately trying to get a few Limitane in, but Creator has already gotten a few archers himself as well, as he knows that Limitane is going to be a very natural response to this. This feels pretty... Creator's getting to that really scary amount of Sipahis where they can dive most things.
Yeah, most things, including stuff like TC, for example. The imams are now also here, healed up a lot of the Sipahi. ZertoN, he's still trying to thread the needle, trying to go for the age up. Behind this, he doesn't even have Cistern level 2, so it's not like there's a whole lot of scaling working for him in his favor at the moment. Fight is being taken now underneath the TC. A lot of arrow fire is coming in, doesn't focus down the meta at the moment yet, so Aura is gonna stay on for the time being. Limitani pretty much all dead behind this. Villagers idled out completely underneath the TC. Meta is still alive, and the Spy just remaining alive behind all of this, and with that, ZertoN, he's losing his entire military stack. The Sipahi just are not gonna die here beneath the TC. Looks like Creator is gonna fall back, though, for the time being. And is gonna give ZertoN a little bit of space again to rebuild, and ZertoN, like, at this point, he really needs to maybe even just plonk down a market, buy himself a little bit more food, and just... He needs to hammer on production, needs to get that second cistern up. He needs to really start respecting this Ottoman push right now, because he cannot just go up to Castle Age behind this. It's just not an option for him at the moment.
Yeah, this is a pretty tough spot for Byzantines, because Byzantines, you get to that position where you're like, oh yeah, I have mercenaries. This feels great. I'm okay. But those longbows are just not doing the damage they need to do. We saw what the method buff can do to Sipahis, and oh my goodness, did they look tanky. Now the thing is, they can just rotate and go where they need to be. Getting a house here, it's like, he knows if I just pop cap him, he's also just not going to be able to produce. But we do see a little bit of extra population here for ZertoN, so he does have that bit of a barrier. But the supply does not like Raggedy. This is such a tough spot as we see the red pings going around. This means that we are getting some alternative.
Wait, what are the villagers doing? No, they're attacking! The attack clicked them! The villagers! Oh my, okay, GG.
Oh god. Oh god, this around Raggedy, they're all dead. They're all dead! A few of them survived though, but this should be
somehow,
a game.
Yeah. Creator behind this actually had almost like over a minute worth of TC idle time, but at this point it's just doesn't feel like it really matters.
It doesn't matter when you've got the matters. They are the only thing that matter in this matchup, as that little bit of armor can change the
Still on
tides
sister
completely.
level 1.
Oh. He does have the
Certain, he's
stone
got
for
the
it.
stone.
Yeah. Ah, poor guy. And now pushed off every external resource. He does not have anything to stay alive in this. Creator now, he's in a really good spot, because from here on, you could just keep raiding, but he could also just stop producing for a second, go castle, and with that, he'd be able to destroy absolutely anything. I think he doesn't even need that, and he knows it. He just says, I'm gonna keep this going, and let's end him. Because even with 655 gold in the bank, ZertoN cannot do anything. He's building every bit of unit that he can afford, but against this sheer amount of Sipahi, he needs a lot more Limited to be able to do this. But Creator now, honestly, I felt like going into this game, ZertoN was the favorite to take this, but Creator, he definitely is showing that aggressive side of him. He knows exactly how much to commit, he knows which horse fights to take, and this is the one he says he's going to do to try and close out this game. Now the Spahis going straight on the TC, barely taking any damage, and the archers ready to focus fire all of these spears that dare poke their heads through.
There he goes. Fight is now being taken. Enough archers here. 35 archers, 21 Sipahi, down to 13 military on certain side. Villagers now getting pulled here with the Akritoy. He's trying his best, but it's just not going to be enough in this one. And sure, the villagers, they can kind of like dish out a lot of damage just courtesy of the Akritoy. But once the curtain falls, like, there's still just so much military alive from Creator and so much more reinforcements coming in. The Akritoy is going to run out eventually behind the ZertoN. He's losing a lot of villagers. None of his economy is really working at the moment. And yeah, with that, GG is going to come in, and it means Creator is going to be able to win here up against ZertoN. And that means that he is going to be able to progress further here in the EGC TV Masters Finals qualifier.
Now, King of the Hill with a short game, Crackety, you called it. No curse was dished upon these men. And it felt like ZertoN had an amazing timing there for a while. He was able to get that first villager kill. He was able to keep that army busy, but he just committed at a time that wasn't perfect. And with that snowball effect of the Ottomans, with the Mechters, it is so tough to stop that ball from rolling down the hill. And Creator is crowned the king of today's one. But this feels like Creator has some fire in his step, and I'm excited to see what he does against this next opponent.
Yeah, indeed, and I do believe that Creator's next opponent is going to be Myriad, so he's definitely got an opponent set out for him.
Mm-hmm. Myriad is someone I want to see perform more in tournaments. Every now and again, he comes in here and he does an amazing job. But sometimes I think the pressure, it does get to him. And this is that critical fight, crack, and the one we're looking at right now with the Sipahi reinforcements were too close. But guys, we have Sassy and MSN after this game. And we hope you're ready, because these two, they've been fighting for that top 16 spot in a lot of these tournaments, and getting into this top 12 is already going to be quite a feat. So these two definitely going to be a pretty good and close match for us to watch.